Welcome, everybody, to the crossover. Today is Friday, November 7th, and it's been 2 weeks since the
My
last
last confession.
crossover.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. We took 2 weeks off, but it's been 3 weeks, and we will miss next week's crossover. So this is the one in that 4-week span that you will have. So I hope you guys sent your best. Let's see here. So we've got a lot of questions, and there is basketball that needs to be watched tonight, although maybe the game won't even be competitive. I've got it on in the background. So that's where we're at there. I don't know. We'll probably keep this to an hour as usual. But before we get to the show tonight, we do any mail days that we might have. And Christina, do you have any mail days?
I do. It's behind me, actually.
She has a tree.
This lovely tree that Santa delivered to my doorstep so that everyone could be festive with me.
Festivus for the rest of us. And Josh, how about you? Any mail days?
Well, I think my son might now request to move in with you guys because he's mad at us. We haven't put up Christmas stuff yet.
It's a very premature tree. A tree before Thanksgiving is something.
Yeah, we're post Thanksgiving.
I waited 7 whole days. Okay, like I put it up this evening. Like you should be happy. I wanted to put it up on Halloween because I was over it. So there you go. And Sammy is welcome.
It's a little early, a little early for me. Let's give some love to Thanksgiving, just a little bit.
I think it just makes Thanksgiving more cheerful.
True.
It's just Christmas without the presents. Like, let's decorate, have Thanksgiving, and save up. Yeah, get 2 holidays out of this
Smart.
Like decoration thing. Yeah.
All right.
So did you have mail days, Josh, or no?
I can't remember which ones I've shown last time, so I'm just gonna go fast.
Okay. All right.
2014 Topps Chrome 1,000-yard club insert. Antonio Brown Superfractor 1 of 1. 27. I've owned this before. Sold it, got it back. 2017 Donruss Optic gold vinyl 1 of 1 Tyreek Hill. So that's his second year. I have his rookie as well. 2012 Topps Chrome Julio Jones Superfractor. I don't think I showed this one.
Nice.
And then made a trade. Got 4 DeAndre Hopkins Black Finites 2020.
Oh, yeah.
PSA 9. 2021 PSA 10. 2022 PSA 10. And 2017 PSA 10. This one's cool. And then this today is a relic from 2020. Look at that slab.
Oh, is that your first HGA slab?
Oh, yeah. This is
Nice.
a 2020 Optic gold vinyl rated rookie Jonathan Taylor 1 of 1. These are not the worst slabs I've ever seen.
Nice.
I heard they're hard. I heard they're hard
to
to crack. So I'm not sure if I want to try it myself. I might just cross it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I wonder how many people who are in the hobby right now remember the HGA era. Is that, in other words, like, is the HGA era, are we like dating ourselves by remembering those drops, those grading drops?
Oh, right. They don't slab anymore. Is that a dumb question?
I don't think they do, but maybe they do. I don't know. They certainly no longer are commanding the volume that they once did.
Yeah, it's a relic, dude. It's a memory. I don't hate the slab. I mean, it's hard to like quibble over hard plastic, and it's like it's plastic. I don't know what to tell you.
Nice. All right. I've got 2 mail days I'll do very quickly. The first one was we had a crossover, and the base for this is an insert, or I guess I don't know really how to describe the checklist for this 2017 Panini National Convention checklist, but this is one of the cards from it. It's a Christian McCaffrey 2017 Panini National Convention. These were part of a Rapper Redemption program. The only way you could get these packs is if you bought product at the National and then showed your receipts basically to Panini, and then they would give you packs, and you could get cards from multiple sports from all their licenses. But so it had McCaffrey rookie cards in it, and this has a player worn patch in it. And I bought that because I missed out on the $200 one that we talked about on the crossover. Some will recall. And then lo and behold, last week, Brian and Lauren actually gave me this. Shout out to Brian and Lauren, who were watching the crossover one day, and they actually were the ones who smashed Ben on this card at $200 just to give it to me later. So thank you guys. Very kind.
So did they message you and they're like, hey, we have this thing. Give us your address.
Not, even better. They hand delivered it. They happened to be in town, and we met up, and
that's hilarious.
They said, by the way.
So you didn't know until you saw them in person and they handed it to you?
Correct.
I knew, but like not because they told
Mm.
me, but because everyone was blaming me in the chat, and
Which
they
is
were
smart.
the ones.
I would blame
They
you.
were the ones who initially started blaming me. And when I was like, guys, I didn't buy it, they were like, no, she bought it. And I was like, red flag. You guys were the ones who bought it.
You do have a knack for cracking the case. Like when we used to
do.
watch all those Mentalist seasons on rerun, you would predict the plot.
That the first time I saw it, not like the rerun.
Yes. She knew it after we watched it a few times.
Yeah.
So thank you to Brian and Lauren. Very kind. All right. Let's now. Also, by the way, these look kind of cool, don't they? The hyper plaid finish, like it's kind of cool.
I'm not a fan of the patch one. I like the one they gave you.
Yeah.
It's the same. Like if all things, I like the one without the patch, and it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's
But you
very
got it.
similar.
But you have to. It's like one of those ones you got to get them both though.
Yeah, and it turns out that they're at least for the base version, there's a thick, which this is, and then there's a thin, and a different Christian McCaffrey collector sniped the thin off of eBay. So, and I know he has it. So maybe there will be a tug of war, and one of us will end up with all three at some point.
Maybe you guys should flip for it. That's the thing to do, I think.
Flip for it at the National.
Have you done this before?
I have never done a flip. I am aware of flip content.
That's like, they basically like force that in. We got to flip. Come on. Let's disagree just so we can flip.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, a $30,000 deal. How about 32.28?
Yeah. We got to flip.
All right. I guess whatever gets the deal done.
I always thought they should just fight.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are a lot of alternatives instead of, if heads, if we can't agree on a price, then heads 32,000 or tails 28. But what if we turned into that slap boxing game and each guy just gets to deliver a slap until somebody caves in? Yeah. I don't know.
Do you remember when like that tortilla slap thing was a thing where you like put water in your mouth and then you slap each other with tortillas and whoever spits the water out loses? I really wanted to try that, but I was afraid for my life.
Yeah. Nice alarm there on your phone. All right.
Thanks.
All right. Let us get to the questions. The first question on the docket comes from Tasty Card Sandwich, who says, what do I have to do to get y'all back to doing 2-hour plus episodes? 1 hour just isn't cutting it. It's like if the NFL and NBA games ended after one quarter. So take this week. You're going to spend 30 minutes talking about defensive shill bidding. This is good. He predicts what's going to happen, and it's great. Then take the next 30 minutes to talk about the start of the NBA season and the NFL. And then just as you're hitting your stride, it's time to pick a title. Meanwhile, plenty of topics are left out in the cold, begging for soup. 2+ hour episodes now. Don't make me call Elon.
I have two statements. Let's do an hour and a half tonight. We can do it.
We can do it.
Second, I have a surefire way to do 2+ hour episodes, and it's called super chats.
Let's go.
So bring in those super chats, and I will do 3-hour episodes.
Josh is proposing a grand bargain. to the audience. Pay us and we will stay on. That's not a bad idea. So maybe we partition the episode into half the normal rotation of questions, and then if people want to keep going, they send in paid comments.
It's like a monologue, and then you got your Q&A.
Yeah. Yes, Christina.
I'm in awe. This is the first I've heard this idea, and I think it could work. But
Christina thinks it could work.
I kind of fear what some people might write.
Well, we've been accepting questions for 5 years, so we've seen a lot.
But that's like, you're already limited because you're posting a question, but you're not sure if it'll be read. If you're telling someone it will be read if you pay me money, they could put anything on the screen.
Well, then why don't we just say it will be read as long as it's not horrific?
Okay.
Yeah.
Who defines horrific?
And we'll get that super chat guy to the robot guy. Thanks for the big super chat.
We definitely need somebody to read.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Maybe Christina can be the reader.
I'm dyslexic, so that cuts me out immediately.
All right, let's move on. We are going to do 90 minutes tonight. Tasty card sandwich. We'll give you you're like the Cowboys and the Packers. You got a tie in overtime. You don't get a win or a loss.
He just bullied us into that. Just FYI.
Yes, he did. All right. So then we have Insta account haver who says, there has been a series of happenings with sports cards this week that have called into question many of the fundamental elements involved in transacting, selling, buying, and valuation that are normative bedrocks of our hobby and creep into the domain of actual crime. Given this, my pressing question in this time of significant flux is, Chris, what is your favorite hoodie in your rotation? It's got to be this one. It's got to be my blue North Face, but I like the green too.
That's Under Armour guy.
Oh, Under Armour.
His favorite
Christina,
hoodie. Doesn't even know what it is.
I didn't even know what. Christina, is my green North Face or is that Under Armour too?
The green is North Face.
Okay,
the
that's how
blue is Under Armour, but you're missing the easiest answer.
Right. My gosh, dude.
The answer that Jeremy and Joe kept talking about last week, and that is your card ladder.
Well,
hoodie.
little secret, I hate that hoodie. So
what, dude? It's like the hobby's favorite hoodie, you dummy.
Then I'll send it. Done. I'll send it to Joe because he was crying on the fucking stream that I didn't send him one because you didn't tell me that he had reserved through you. And I was getting all.
No,
the
you don't
shade
want
for
this
it.
hoodie, man. It's
so I will send your hoodie to Joe. Done.
How do you even hate that hoodie? What the heck?
No, it's such a good hoodie. It's so comfortable. It's very flattering. It's so good. It's a great hoodie. It's such
Dude,
a
this
good
guy
hoodie.
you'll zag against your own stuff.
You're like,
card ladder sucks.
You're like, MJ, zag. I don't even think he's that good.
Dude, MJ overrated. Give me Pippen. Give me Rodman. Rodman's undervalued.
The next hoodie I make for Card Ladder, underneath Card Ladder on the back, it's gonna say the Hobbies hoodie.
Nice.
Yeah, and then make a separate one for Chris that was like $10, and it's got a horrible print on the back.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. Okay. Let us get to the topic of the week, the topic of several weeks. And it's taken turns and developed, and there will be lots of people in the audience, I think, who really don't know what's going on. But there's a lot of exposition to be had before we can actually understand what's going on here. So I don't know if I can effectively split that baby. But I'm going to try. I'm just going to try and really quickly catch people up in the basic fact pattern of what's going on here. So not that long ago, maybe a week or two ago, Patrick Ryan posted to his Instagram story a series of cards that were his that he consigned through Acquire, which then listed them on Fanatics Collect. And one of them was listed in Fanatics Collect, I believe, in the Premier auction. And he, as he normally does, was showing the cards that he had for sale. And he put screenshots and links, and it just so happened that when he hastily, presumably, took a screenshot of a 1986 Fleer sticker Michael Jordan that was also containing an autograph. I'm pretty sure that's the card in question. His screenshot showed the language, "You've been outbid," and so some people took notice that this appeared to imply that he had bid on a card that he was also saying was his own that was available for sale. So he cleared it up and said he put something to his Instagram story. I think something along the lines of, I put a bid on this to watch it. Didn't mean or intend to bid on my own thing. Something along those lines, if memory serves. You'll have to forgive if my memory isn't perfectly recalling the facts here. And then I think a little more time passed. He then recorded a follow-up video to further clarify. And effectively, the message or the idea of the video was that he had unknowingly bid on this card, and that because he didn't know that it was his. And so he sort of said that he has an arrangement with Acquire where he had consigned cards through them, I believe, for the first time. And he was just he wasn't aware that his cards had gone live yet. And so he was just kind of shotgun firing bids and placing bids on things. And, when things first go live, the bidding is very low. So sort of placeholder bids. And then it turned out that it was his card. And so, he says that once he found out, he asked Acquire, please tell me all of my cards that are live so that I can make sure that I don't do any more of this. But he did confirm that he mistakenly or unintentionally placed a bid on one of his own cards. And so that's kind of phase one of what happened here. And there's a little bit of tension between the two rationales. Did he place the bid to watch it, or did he place the bid for the purpose of thinking it wasn't his card and he was going to still try to win it, maybe if it stayed low enough? But it's plausible that at first, he said, oh crap, I must have bid on it as a placeholder, and then later he realized, no, actually I just was bidding on it because I didn't realize it was my own card. Now there's there's already a small issue there, which is that before we even get to the meatier issues here, we should all be careful to know which of our cards are live at auction. And for me, it doesn't pass the smell test. Not the smell test, but for me, let's just say, for me, it's unacceptable for a person to put a card at auction, bid on it, and then claim ignorance. I don't think that ignorance may be true. That may be the case, but it's not a defense that is acceptable to me. But that actually bleeds into the bigger topic here, which is that whether it was ignorance or not, the bigger point, the more salient point, is that what did happen, in fact, was that a person placed a bid on their own card. Now, once that revelation was made, the item ultimately was pulled from the Fanatics Collect Premier auction, and as it needed to be, because the legality, in my understanding, surrounding items where a person without giving notice, and that's one of the key factors, but it's not the only key factor. But a person without giving notice places a bid on their own item, that transaction can then be voided by whoever wins it. So the auction was tainted as soon as that happened. So presumably that's why they took it down. But the auction for that card was taken down. But the bigger point here, and I believe in my reading of Fanatics' terms and conditions, I believe other people have come to this conclusion as well. And this is probably true of Acquire's terms and conditions too, although I haven't looked at any of their agreements directly, that placing a bid on one's own item is forbidden. And it's not only forbidden with those entities and that platform. eBay has a strict policy against shill bidding. eBay's policy also forbids employees of an employer bidding on any items from that company. eBay takes several extra steps to ensure the non-bidding that even related entities, professionally related entities, can't bid on each other's cards. So we have a pretty clear terms and conditions violation there. We have an admission that it happened, and the admission doesn't say that it was he. To my knowledge, he hasn't said he did it with any bad intent. He said it was a mistake. That he didn't intend to bid on his own card, but that's what ended up happening, and it did happen. And so that's phase one. That's phase one. Phase two is the podcast. Phase two is the podcast with Dr. Beckett and Patrick. But first, Josh, let's talk a little bit about what happened leading up to the podcast. So what do you have to say about the facts as I've presented them so far?
Well, I mean, without diving all the way into Schilling, one of the issues I have is he was blaming Acquire a lot for like somehow blocking him from bidding or something like this. So since he sent it to Acquire and then Acquire consigns it through Fanatics, he is able to bid on it because he wasn't the one who sent it directly to Fanatics, right? So he's blaming Acquire, but Acquire doesn't have he's like blaming them not having the technology to block him or whatever, but it's not their platform where they can control that. It's the Fanatics platform. So he's actually blaming Fanatics for not allowing you to be blocked on your third party consignment. This isn't, there's nothing Acquire can do about this. I just wanted to point that out. Like when someone blames the technology of something, I usually would like to jump in and give my opinion there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it will never be acceptable, in my opinion, to blame the technology, because even if even though you've just made the point fairly that that type of technology really can't exist, but even if it could, suppose the technology malfunctioned for one day, then is the consignor relieved of the responsibility of knowing which items are theirs and that they no longer bear a responsibility to prevent themselves from bidding on their own things? So I don't think that the buck stops with the tech. The buck doesn't stop with the technology. The buck stops with the consignor. Yeah. If I'm consigning something, whether it's through an intermediary or directly, it is 100% my responsibility to not bid on my own thing. And right. If I do bid on it, that is 100% on me. The buck stops with me.
Yeah, that seems obvious.
Yeah. So, all right. So now this.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Did you talk about how? Because at one point, Fanatics used to require you. This isn't like totally related, but it's maybe like part of his line of thinking. Fanatics used to require you to bid in order to be a part of the extended bidding. I'm pretty sure Golden still requires that. So I think there's like a memory muscle for a lot of these guys to like just put in a bunch of bids just so they can be a part of extended. But if Fanatics no longer requires that, but I think it still might be like a muscle memory for people. I haven't heard that discussed.
Yeah, it's a good point. Fanatics no longer requires that, and I think Golden doesn't require it either. I think that's pretty much done for.
I thought Golden still did, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's not an excuse. I'm just adding some color that hasn't been discussed.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. Like I think it is plausible, and we'll never know the state of mind, but it's certainly plausible that either of the explanations given, either that look, this was just intended to be a harmless placeholder bid, or that I actually didn't know that this was my item and I bid on it, because there's a shotgun style bidding that's going on here. See, this is something that's going to come up more as we talk about this more. But this is dealer talk. This is like, he says in the interview with Beckett, which we're going to touch on in a second, he says that sometimes like when a heritage auction opens up, he might have $8 million worth of bids out there, but he knows that those are all low, and he'll be happy if he wins all those items. But he's fully expecting that many of those items are going to go for higher, and that ultimately he maybe ends up winning $150,000 worth of stuff that he felt like went low. That's dealer talk. That's as collectors, that doesn't resonate with me. I don't approach an auction where I place 1,000 bids trying to find the value item. And in other episodes, and it's not really the format to do it here, I'm quite critical of dealers and flippers who are bidding against me in an open, public, high-profile auction just to win a card to sell it back to me for more in 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
Right. But that's not the subject of tonight. But that's so that is a different world that a lot of us as collectors are like, what are you talking about? You have 8 million in outstanding bids. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
But
I'm also like really not comfortable with like, hey, this is probably going to end at 10,000. Me bidding 5,000 is fine. I'm going to lose. That's just like, that part makes me really uncomfortable because you're just like assuming the market's going to go to a certain place, and then if you win, what? Now it's like you have to pay for it, or now you have to decide. It's just like, don't bid unless you're going to plan to win at that price. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
How about the fact, like, if you bid at 5,000, there was someone who actually wants that card who would have bid like 5,500, who like sees it gets to 5,000 too quick and is just like, I better just walk away.
okay,
like,
so
this is going too much. So you're knocking collectors out now, or like you're scaring them away because you're placing what you think are low bids early. Like, it seems like market manipulation to me.
Okay, so Christina, I love that you made that point, and Josh made a very similar point too. And as we're going to move now to talking about phase 2 of this ordeal, which is the podcasts, part 1 and 2 of the podcast.
You're right about Golden, by the way. It says extended is for everybody, so they changed.
Okay.
So basically everyone now. Maybe Heritage, I don't know.
Okay, so thank you for that. So there is a terrific podcast that was hosted by Because I'm Carlos, who is an exceptionally sharp guy. I haven't always seen eye to eye with him on everything, but he is a quick, smart individual, and he was just the perfect host, I think, for this discussion. And then he had on as a guest Dan from Dan's Vintage Baseball PC, who is just an all around thoughtful, intelligent, really interesting content creator and collector that I follow a lot of his work. And he also happens to be an attorney with a background in criminal defense of 35 years, actually of 35 years experience. And so these two teamed up to make a podcast that broke down the Dr. Beckett's interview of Patrick Ryan. And I would refer people who want a more in-depth analysis than we're going to be able to do to go take a listen to that, because I just thought those two guys were the brain power and the analysis was amazing. And the reason and so the segue here is that Carlos makes an observation that is a subtle one that, a lot of the comments, and it hasn't really been discussed because it's sort of to the side of the main point, but it's still a very important point. And the point that gets made is that even the presence of a low bid on an auction in the beginning has consequences, downstream effects for how that auction might play out. It can change the perception of the auction. It can move the auction to the front page. It can send a notification that there's activity. It's creating an impression that there's this early bidding and there's demand for this in the early goings of this listing, and so on and so forth. That there are consequences. There are domino effects, butterfly effects to early bids that it can be sort of, we might sort of nonchalantly say, well, there's no big deal there. But as Christina just said, actually there is. Actually, it could discourage a bidder who genuinely wants to own that item, or it could create extra enthusiasm and energy surrounding something, giving it the perception that there's this early activity and excitement for it when it's inauthentic. It's really not that. It's either a placeholder bid or, it's a bid to put a floor on a card. But for that, from a dealer's point of view, like, I don't really want the card, but I'll add it to my inventory if it goes for this low. So good points are made there. Okay. All right, let me move in to phase 2 here. As AP Cards 23 says, phase 2 is far more damaging for sure. Okay, so phase 2 is a 2-part podcast sequence on Dr. Beckett's Sports Card Insights podcast, where Patrick was a guest, and they discussed this issue, but really it was a bigger topic of just sort of discussing. I mean, it was unbelievable, actually, that the range of topics that actually ended up coming up. So the discussion pivots from, hey, Patrick, he made a mistake. He didn't intend to bid on this. Which is, the implication of that is we can all agree that bidding on your own item is bad news and it shouldn't be done. And the conversation starts there, but then it sort of turns into this whitewashing of the idea of shilling, and the concept of defensive shilling is introduced, and the idea of sort of, well, what if I'm, like Patrick has a comment at one point that people have come into his DMs or people have messaged him to say that they bid on their friends' items, and it just sort of becomes this whataboutism, like, yeah, somebody might have bid on their own item here, but what about all this other stuff too? What about reserves? What about even this idea of implicit reserves gets brought up? And I don't know that anybody has taken too critical of an eye yet at the idea of an implicit reserve, but an implicit reserve is a very dangerous concept that runs afoul of several different aspects of the law. An implicit reserve, as it was discussed in the podcast, is sort of this idea that a consignor is going to send in a card and they just have this implicit right, or they have this right to make sure that the price doesn't fall beneath an implicit reserve. And the whole point of a reserve, the legality of a reserve, hangs by the very thin thread of the fact that the reserve and the fact that the house might be bidding on behalf of the consignor up to that reserve is known publicly and is disclosed. So the idea of an implicit reserve runs counter to the thin thread that actually allows house bidding up to reserves to exist, which is the notice given through the terms and conditions, and then on the item page 2, that a reserve is in effect here. So implicit reserve is a very scary concept, and one that I reject outright. Now, Dan went in his... So first of all, Carlos says it perfectly in that podcast episode. He says, thou shall not bid on one's own shit. Period. Simple, easy.
That's the easy one. That's the easiest one.
That's the easy one. And it's and he nails it and he gets it. And then Dan comes in and Dan provides the legal heft. And I think the legal heft is really important, because so Dan introduces a definition of shill bidding, which is a person or their associates bidding on a card or an item to drive up its price. And then he comes out and he says, there is no parsing this. This is illegal. This potentially runs afoul of federal laws regarding fraud, regarding wire fraud, if it's done electronically and online, which is the case, that it can. And then I have consulted ChatGPT to sort of help it explain to me a little more of which particular areas of the law are being violated here. I'm sure Dan could provide great exposition on this, but they had to keep it concise for the purpose of a podcast. So I wanted to actually go into a little bit more of the depth. And GPT was explaining this can run afoul of the UCC, the Uniform Commercial Code, which many states have adopted in different capacities. This can run afoul of various state laws. New York, as an example, has specific state laws against shill bidding. And so Dan was just making the points, and if there is one takeaway, it's this: placing a bid on one's own item in a way that constitutes shill bidding is illegal. That was Dan's point. That was his takeaway from what I've seen. Sounds like he's exactly spot on there. And it's illegal in a state context, in a federal context. It can lead to civil remedies as well. A buyer can void a sale, and if that happens, the house might have a remedy against the consignor who did it. There are real legal consequences and ramifications that could attach to a situation where a person places a bid on their own item. And shilling extends beyond just placing a bid on one's own item. Shilling can take place in the context of placing a bid on a friend's item or a colleague's item, and so on and so forth. So that the legal heft that and the analysis that Dan brought to lay out sort of through his lens of 35 years of experience what could the real legal ramifications of this, I thought was very powerful. And I think it's a warning. It's a disclaimer. It's putting people on notice that you can get into big trouble if you are bidding on your own stuff. What do you say, Josh?
And I'm asking Grok about this stuff, like the legalities of it, the federal laws and such. You are not protected under these laws if you pay for the item. So just because you shill it up, bid on it, and then if you pay for it, that doesn't protect you. Because like Christina we brought up, you're still defrauding people and moving the price up. And it's very conceivable to have the example of, let's say I'm willing to bid up something and then pay for it. I could still be manipulating it because I own similar copies of that, or I'm looking to do this at scale and buy a bunch of stuff, and then all of a sudden I've raised the value of multiple items all at once just because I'm willing to pay for this one item. So this is like, this law doesn't just apply if you aren't paying for the item, right? So this is like pretty deep.
Exactly. And it's certainly a takeaway here to err on the side of, if this is even remotely in a gray area, don't do it.
Right.
Don't do it. The level of legal infraction that could occur by doing it, especially across state lines, especially online, the federal legal implications that attach, just don't do it. And then there's also, what you referred to there, Josh, there's also the practical, the ethical aspect of it too, which is, and Christina referred to this earlier, which is the fact that, we are collectors out here who are trying to participate in a market, who are relying on comps to sort of help guide and instruct our buying, selling, or trading decisions. And, if you kind of like parse the legal text a little bit, one of the key things that gets emphasized is notice, is that it's important that if there is ever going to be a reserve situation where the house is able to bid on behalf of the consignor, that anytime a house bid is capable of being placed, that all bidders need to have notice of that. They need to know, they need to go in with eyes wide open that they might be bidding against the consignor, or they might be bidding against the house acting as a liaison for that consignor. That notice is essential. So when the notice is absent, in the case of an implicit reserve, or when the notice is absent in terms of, somebody just kind of placing a bid, because they won't let it go for too low, or all those concepts, those run afoul ethically of the need for transparency and disclosure, so that if I'm a collector going in with eyes wide open, I know that there's a chance or even a likelihood that I might be bidding against the person who sent in this card for sale. And if I can speak for myself, if I know that, I'm almost, unless it's just like my one true grail that I will never get another shot at again, I'm going to stay away from that. I'm more than likely going to stay away from that card. But the key is for everybody, for participants, to be able to have eyes wide open. That transparency is so important to the honesty and the integrity and the ethical behavior of market participants. What do you say about that?
Yeah, the reason this is like so foreign and weird to us is because we're going into these auctions like we want the price to stay low so that we can bid on it, we can buy it, hopefully win it, add it to our collection, and move on to the next item we want to acquire. If you're going at this from the perspective that P. Ryan is doing, where it's like, I'm just bidding on all this stuff, I'm going to win what I win, hopefully I get some deals, I put it in my inventory, I turn it around here, I send some stuff back. It's just this like constant like bidding, buying, and selling thing. It's just like not the world we function in. So we just like aren't going to have any sympathy when you get caught doing something like this.
Yeah, like this is the like flipper vortex we talk about. Like this is what powers that tornado of the flippers vortex. Like I'm not amused.
Yeah, this isn't like a true market at all.
Yeah.
You're talking about people that like are incentivized for these items to go higher because their activity and participation is so high. They want to keep the prices driving up so that after they buy it, there's more and more activity and then they can sell it for more. Whereas the like true market value is people that are looking to bid on these items for the purpose of owning them. And that's the true market value. So all of these different actors moving around and bidding, and whether they're shill bidding or not, or intent and all this, like I don't even care about the intent anymore. You're just like trying to manipulate the market and move it up. And it's super annoying for collectors. I haven't heard about that. It's like we're drilling into these little nitpicky things of like defensive bidding and all these definitions and all this crap. And it's like, what about the collectors that are just trying to win these freaking items for fair price,
Exactly. We want a market. We insist on having a market and a community where we can't be manipulated and deceived into bidding against a consigner without at least having the right to know that that's a possibility. We certainly don't want that. And I think if you ask most people don't want reserves either. And most people don't want house bids either. And I think most auction houses don't want reserves either. That the existence of these reserves and then the whole reserve system is because they use it to like get really expensive memorabilia pieces or super high-end cards from celebrities, and they say, this will be really high profile, it'll be good pub for the auction house. But they say, well, look, we'll guarantee that either at least it gets up to this price, which is the reserve, and we'll place house bids to help it get up to that price. But if it doesn't, then you won't be left on the hook.
But how is that not manipulation? If a card is worth $10,000 and I put in a reserve for 12,000, and then the house is just going to bid it up to 12,000, and then it doesn't sell, there's still this like manipulation that now people think, oh, it didn't sell, but like someone bid 12,000. Like, what the heck?
Exactly. So there have been times over the last 5 years of us doing this show where there have been items that ultimately had a reserve and didn't sell. And then the fact that the item got up to a certain price is used as sort of like a faux comp, like a
Right,
pseudo.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
here's the mechanics of that. The mechanics of that means that depending upon the policy of the particular auction house, that there was at least one person that the house was able to bid up to this amount. That's what that means. But ultimately the sale didn't get consummated. So that person didn't actually have to pay for it. And so if that person had a hunch that there was a reserve and they sort of understood that this would be a faux comp and whatever, for the record, we don't put these faux comps into Card Ladder, by the way.
Right.
Obviously. But yeah, I mean, it's sneaky. And it goes back to the idea of notice. And reserves have been a topic that's been coming up a little bit more, and it's fair. Auction houses they're gonna get some flack for reserves. That started to happen. It's going to continue to happen. The counterpoint, it's also fair to balance and to say most auction houses are not putting reserves on most items. It doesn't benefit them in almost all situations to put a reserve because the consignor wants a high reserve. The item usually doesn't get to the reserve price. They end up wasting the money to market it and promote it. That doesn't excuse the policy of reserves, because I think we all would feel better if there wasn't any such policy. I think we would all feel better if we could truly believe that an open auction is taking place among people who want the card, that the person who sent it into auction, who always could keep the item and just sell it in a fixed price setting or set up at a show or reach out to a network. You don't need to sell it at auction, but if you do sell it at auction, you forfeit the right to buy it and to bid on it.
Dude, Grok is like, Grok says, here's some legal ways to do it. Buy it now with make an offer. Just negotiate directly. Fixed price listing. Legitimate proxy bidding. Let demand push the price naturally. So the reserve thing is BS because you could just list it at a price and do best offer. It's the same thing.
And that's the rub of it all, is that I want to exist in a market where the way the market works is this. If an item gets sent to auction, it's being bid on by people who genuinely want to own it. And if dealers and flippers come in and they want to make it part of their inventory so they can try to flip it to me or other people like me later. I don't like that, but I accept it. What I will not accept is not being notified and not being aware that the person who sent in the item or the marketplace itself, I don't like them bidding on it. I don't want my market to look like that.
Okay, hear me out. I think, and this is going to sound crazy, and I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth, but I think Marino was ahead of his time. Because wasn't the whole Bewick?
If you say Bewick,
wasn't the whole point of that though? Was like the buyer like had a number in mind, and your bid, like your high bid, like that you sent in, was like to try and hit their reserve. I lost Josh. Anyway,
it's just crazy. Like all these different ways to like get to a price. It's just nuts. Like this isn't real. This is just all fake crap.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sell it. I want to sell it, but I need to sell it for this. That's not how it works. You sell it for what someone's willing to pay. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Or you just don't sell it. Like,
right. Just list it and then let it rot.
If you have a reserve, then list it as a buy it now. Like all of these auction houses have vault listings now. There's no reason for you to send it to auction if you need it to hit a certain number.
Yeah, there's also something called eBay.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, we do this topic like once a year, and it's like everyone gets all fired up, oh, like get this guy out of the hobby. We got to clean this up, and nothing changes, So this is just like part of it. It's just always here. It's been like this since we started in 2016.
Yeah, and so all right, well let's get to the questions. There was questions and comments on this topic. We'll rapid fire through a few. Francesco Trentado32 says, please discuss your opinion on this whole offensive and defensive shill bidding bullshit. I think we've done that. Do you want to add anything to that? Shilling is shilling. It shouldn't happen. Don't bid on your own items. Don't bid on the items that you have special knowledge of that belong to your friends and stuff like that. If it's even close to being in a gray area where there's a conflict of interest, just stay away from it. That's my policy.
I just keep thinking of Tasty Card Sandwich saying, we're going to talk about this for 30 minutes. We lied to him.
Yeah. Okay. And then moving on here, TJ is online, says, I think these folks who do offensive and defensive shilling use coordinators with playbooks. Seriously, the entire topic of shilling is black and white. You either do it or you don't. It's simple.
Dude, they were like talking themselves through and trying to like justify what they were doing so much that they were making up new terms for it. It was wild.
Yeah. And so on that topic, it was the worst possible judgment, I think, to use this time, this moment to bring forth a nuanced interpretation of what level of offensive or defensive shilling might be fine, or sort of like comps. You guys think it's bad, but just imagine the comps if we couldn't do it, which is always an argument that repulses me.
My cards would be cheaper. That's the
I would have more cards because I wouldn't have spent so much money fighting you off for a card you already own. Like, so I'd have 2 additional cards.
Yeah, dude, this argument that like you and me and Christina and the collectors that we need these like rich dudes to come in and like make our cards valuable is such bullshit. It's such a terrible argument. We do not want you guys coming in and raising the value. If that's what you think we want from you, please save yourself the time. You stock investors and stuff, get out of here.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. We don't want this. We don't, as collectors, and there is a collector like divide here, and I see it show up in comments and sort of as people have discussed it, that there are collectors, or there's sort of, we're the consumers. We're trying to grab these cards and bring them into our collections, and we want to get them at the cheapest possible price, and we want to get the most bang for our buck, and we want to do it in a fair and honest and transparent way. We want to believe that we're bidding against other collectors who want the card too. And then on the other side, there's this dealer flipper talk where it's like, I'm bidding on millions of dollars worth of stuff, and I'm looking for deals, and I'm going to get in at a good price, and I'm going to flip it to somebody else and make some money off of it, and I'm really doing a service to the market by putting in floors on this stuff. And we don't agree with that. We don't see it that way. And we're trying to get our cards for the fair market price of collectors competing for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So here, next we have Out of Wax, who says, who are the top 5 defensive shield bidders in the game right now?
Dude, Amen Thompson, he's a two-way player.
Shweezy21, the Timmy Collector, says, hey, bro, can you help a homie out and shill my card? It's okay because it's not your card, and we are only defensively driving up the price by establishing a floor. It is essentially the same as a reserve, and that's an acceptable practice in the hobby. Come on, bro, you game. I actually thought that was a really nice breakdown of sort of the subtext
Right.
of what was coming through there. Is like, well, it's kind of similar to a reserve. And
So that's what I'm saying. They're trying to like talk their way through making it okay by making some how you phrase it maybe might help me out here. It's like, come on.
Exactly. Yeah, okay. So all right, Northwoods Card Collector says 2 minutes to go in an auction and you're down bad on your ROI. Would you rather play defense or offensive shilling? Chromie G says, is shill bidding now too far ingrained within the hobby ecosystem to make a difference? What do you say about that?
It's been like this. It's no different. That's why I said I'm getting ahead of this question. I knew this was coming of like, is the hobby screwed now? Or it's been like this for so long. It's already baked in.
Yeah. Yeah. It certainly frustrated me. When I saw this question came in, and then I had an impulse. I think many of us as collectors have an impulse to say, well, I don't think I ever got shilled. But I would think back sort of my recent auction wins, and then I would even think back on cards that I've purchased where the card itself didn't have a comp, but similar cards had a comp. And then I started thinking, well, what if that comp was, a dealer buying his card back? Or what if that comp was, the consignor sort of incrementally nudging up the guy who wanted the card? This is how the ramifications can become market wide. So I just, because see, this is the moral point that extends beyond the sports card market and can become very infuriating. There are some people who don't work. They have investments. They collect a percentage off of a nest egg, and they just see money as numbers on a screen. But there's a lot of people, including us, who work. And what is work? What is labor? It is exchanging my time, my most precious, valuable resource on this earth, in exchange for money, for a payment. And hopefully we can do work that has meaning and has some sense of a vocation. But that's what it boils down to. I'm trading my most precious asset, my limited time on this earth, in exchange for money. So when somebody tries to unfairly, deceptively, and secretly pry more money away from me than I would have had to pay had everything been on the up and up, had everything been transparent, had everything been done ethically, that's a moral infraction. That is a person quite literally stealing my time, my most precious thing, the thing that I traded for my labor. And I think that kind of gets lost in the era of numbers on a screen. It kind of gets lost that when somebody deceptively separates a person from their money and makes them pay more for something as, silly as a sports card. But what's really happening is that person is having their time, their labor, they're having it taken from them, and they didn't agree to do it. And it's pretty offensive.
It's like a usury system against us.
Yeah. All right. Bye Baby Card says, okay. So Andy sent in a giant.
Do not read that.
No, I'm not going to read it. I didn't even include it, but
it was good.
It was very good, but it would take 5 minutes. So I'm going to leave the post up on my Instagram page, And if you want to go to the comments section tomorrow and read Andy's, is this the shill and shine playbook? It's a fun read.
It's like a 10-step, 1,000-word thing. It's
Yeah,
good.
I think it's 15 steps.
Oh my God.
Vinny Slabarino says, I always enjoy the show. I call bullshill on the excuses being given for bidding on your own cards at auction. Given little can or is being done about it, does this make the buy it now feature more attractive? You may still overpay, but you at least know the transaction was above board.
I always want to. I'm interested in this topic of like, once the person gets caught, like, what do I want them to do? You know, it's like people are like, we want you to make this big public apology, but when you do that, people get more angry. It's like they really can't do anything to make us happy. So it's like, just eat it, I guess. Just eat it and move on. I don't know.
What would you advise? I have a piece of advice.
I don't know. That's why I was just saying, like, I don't even know what I would advise, because it's like, the more you go on this like media tour in 2025, like people are onto that stuff. It makes you look so much worse the more you do it.
Yeah. And like, that's kind of why my point was like the timing and the tenor of trying to thread the needle of what type of shilling is better than another type. And
Yeah.
That the time for that discussion is not now. It's never, but it's certainly not now. The tenor of that discussion, my advice would be this. Let's assume that it was an innocent mistake. Let's start from
Right.
that point of view. Because if it wasn't, then it's all bad and it's all rotten. But let's assume that it was an innocent mistake. Then here's what happened. By the letter of the law, the policies presumably of Fanatics Collect and Acquire were violated. So there should be a coming together of Patrick and of Acquire and of Fanatics Collect to say Patrick is not going to be able to use these services. And this is what the policy, this is what the terms and the conditions laid out. He violated them. We understand he didn't mean to, but he did. He ended up bidding on his own item. We took the item down. He apologizes for it. He says he made a mistake. So, but we have to enforce our terms and conditions. He
Right.
cannot use these services. Now, let time pass. Okay, let Patrick begin to rebuild his reputation with Fanatics Collect and with Acquire and with the community. And then after 12 months, after 18 months, 24 months, come back, revisit it. Have you bid on any more of your own items by mistake? No. Okay, we're going to reinstate you. Now you can come back in and you can participate again. You aren't going to bid on your own items anymore. You didn't mean to in the first place. You haven't done it since. Let's come back to the table now. And just like you said, just eat it. Just eat it. We've all made mistakes in various sectors of our lives. It happens, but we have to own them. We have to take the responsibility for them. Eat it. Come to the table. Say, I am voluntarily agreeing and coming together with these entities to honor the terms and conditions that I agreed to. And then, I'm going to make sure I never do this again. The buck stops with me. It is my fault that I bid on my own card unintentionally. And from here, we're gonna take this thing slow. So that's and none of this whitewashing of it all.
Right.
The whataboutism of it is completely beside the point.
And
There
all
is-
the stuff of like, everybody else does it too. It's fine. I hate
Right.
that stuff too.
Right. All right.
So you're saying that the police have to arrest the bad guys, otherwise they'll keep doing it?
Right.
They have to. There has to be consequences. That's crazy. That's too far for me.
Right. All right. Drake's PC says shill bidding will be a big topic of discussion tonight. While it feels impossible to stop it if auction houses or platforms only allowed one bid per account per card, do you think that would be a step in the right direction, or do you see that as a net negative? So you can only place one bid. What do you
Dude,
think about
I hate lowest common denominator rules in society. I hate that stuff. That topic drives me nuts. Like, let's change all the rules because of all the criminals. I hate that.
Right.
It's not. I don't hate this idea on the face, Drake. I get the spirit of it. I just don't like the concept of like, let's just give in to the criminals because we have to.
Well, to actually address like Drake's idea, what happens on like a month-long auction? You place your bid early in the month, right? And then something goes up on eBay and sells for higher than your bid, and you're like, fuck, I guess the market is higher. Like you can't make another bid.
Yeah, it's not gonna work.
Yeah. Like a month is a long time for an auction to run, or like 3 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever. Like just saying.
Yeah, I think it would be a fun experiment if there was like an auction that existed for a month, and you know, the whole style of it was that you could only place one bid, and it might work in a weird way. Like people might get nervous and bid even higher just to make sure that they win it. But I'm with you, Josh. I don't think that we need to restructure all of society to cater to the impulses of.
We do, but I won't point them out when we do.
Yeah, but we don't want to. That's not how. It's the 99 or the however many percent of just honest, straightforward people having to jump through all these hoops to build around the bad apples.
But I am worried that this concept of like I'm just gonna go bid on a bunch of stuff and let's just see what happens and see what I have to pay is like more common than we'd like to think. I'm worried about that aspect of it. Like aside from the bidding on your own, like I'm assuming people aren't doing that, but there are people for sure that are like, let me just bid on everything, and if I win one at half price, this is amazing. So that nothing ever actually goes for a deal. And as he says, so that some idiot doesn't get it for cheap or whatever. Like, you mean the collector, like calling us idiots?
Yeah.
Well, and that's the whole like if I win it for half price, like a lot of these guys are not nearly as savvy and knowledgeable of the market as they think they are. They think they're getting a deal and they buy it on the auction house and they throw it up on eBay for what they think is the collector price, the premium that we'll pay, and it just rots. Months and months and months of rotting, and then it gets sent back to the auction, one of the auction houses inevitably.
But they need the idiots to actually want it. Otherwise, they're just selling it to the next part of the vortex. It's just crazy. I just can't put my brain around this idea of like just buying and selling haphazardly without actually ever caring about true market value or wanting to own it genuinely. It's nuts.
Yep. All right. Eighth Wonder Card says, what's the most recent card that you finished second in bidding? And I think what he's getting at here is like the thing that I took away from this is like, if I haven't finished second, I'm always finishing first. Somebody's bidding me up.
Right.
Like that's just like I'm the sucker. But I actually did finish second in an auction like last week. So I don't bid on that many things. Like I pick up between 10 and 20 cards a year.
Every time you and I win an auction, our first instinct is like, who was the dude who bid second? Get out of here. If it wasn't for you.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So I did last week. Nikola Jokic's Topps paper foil fractor 1 of 1 sold on eBay, and I was the second highest bidder, and I lost by $100. So I lost by the minimum increment.
And the third place was like half.
Actually, third place messaged me because he was trying to figure out if I was the one who won it. He had a hunch, and he bid like $200 beneath me, but he ain't a Nikola Jokic collector, and we'll just leave it there. So I was not pleased that of who I'm competing against for these cards, especially because that card's going to be worth 20% of what it sold for within 6 months.
This is like why collectors have gone to 101s only, because we're just trying everything we possibly can to corner ourselves into not being comped to death by this vortex of craziness. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like there's no comps. Just leave me alone. Just let me bid in peace, please. Let me bid against the other guy in my group chat who also wants this card as much as I do. Let me and him go to war. Everybody else, get out of here.
Well, we kind of live under a tyranny of the flipper, because like as a collector, if I ever express displeasure with the fact that maybe I'm bidding against dealers and flippers who have no intention of owning this card, but who just want to make make a margin off of it by buying it in a public auction, then selling it back to me later. If I like criticize that, it's like, I'm being unfair, or, it's a free market. Yeah. But it's also free speech. And my side on that is that it's myself as a collector, all collectors, we are completely within reason to be hostile towards people who are making us pay more for cards, and that they don't want the card. They see the card as inventory, and we're actually end users of it. Okay. So D Brown 7665 says, looking back on it, Beckett Magazine was filled with conflicts of interest. They were taking money, ads from the very manufacturers that they were setting prices on. They also made very questionable decisions on what a rookie card is, years cards were manufactured. For example, they declined to say that the star was the Jordan rookie, and clearly made up a ridiculous reason about national releases. I think it would be worthwhile to do a look back at the Beckett Price Guide era and do a legit analysis on what went on back then. What are your guys' thoughts? Here's my thought. Go for it, man. Let me know what you find. This is not the time, I don't think, to smuggle in a star versus Fleer debate. Because I see you. I see that going on here, but look, if you want to do that, go back and look at it. And I'll say this: the gold standard here, the goal is that this shouldn't change the way anything looked. We should always be casting a skeptical eye. We should always be using critical reasoning. We should always be thinking carefully. This is a problem that I find with the market in general today. Probably was a problem back then. That I'm just, if this comp came in, I'm just going to turn off my brain. Or if Beckett says this, no, keep your brain turned on. Use our critical reasoning skills. If a comp is an outlier, investigate it. Look closer into it. Study it. Think critically. And so, in other words, if the revelation that this very distasteful interview, whitewashing, immoral behavior, if that can change the whole history of things, then we were leaning way too much on the credibility of name brands, and we weren't doing enough critical thinking in the first place.
Right.
So, all right. Southern Collector 14 says, can Dr. Beckett recover his image after getting in bed with the shill bidders? What do you say about that?
This is the hardest part of this whole thing for me, because we hold Dr. Beckett in such high esteem in the hobby and what he's done, and building up the Beckett business. We obviously took a lot of inspiration for that for Card Ladder, so that's the hardest part of this for sure. I don't know.
Yeah, so I think a charitable read is that Dr. Beckett, for example, Dr. Beckett's scheduled episode today was defending the PSA upcharge. Dr. Beckett has sort of taken the burden upon himself to sort of defend people and companies.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that so one thing about Dr. Beckett, he is not on social media. He's not on Instagram. He doesn't see the discourse. At one point in his exchange with Patrick Ryan, he says, you're not a controversial guy, Patrick. Yes, he is, Dr. Beckett. Yes, he is. And I'm sure he would agree to that.
He's platformed him.
Yeah. He's a firebrand. Patrick Ryan is a firebrand. He's been very critical of me at various times in the past. He's been very critical of a lot of people. If the shoe was on the other foot here, and somebody else did what he did, he has admitted, I think, in his video and maybe elsewhere too, he would be very critical of that person. So I think he understands. I think he's accepting of sort of the discussion, the dialogue that's circling around this. But sort of Dr. Beckett has a bit of a blind spot. He doesn't know that Patrick is a controversial figure. And he doesn't know that Patrick has been very outspoken and critical of many people in this hobby.
So would you say that someone took advantage of Dr. Beckett and his platform?
No, I don't. I don't give a pass like that. I think the buck does stop with Dr. Beckett. I think
No, no,
now.
no. That's not what
Okay.
I'm saying. I'm
Yeah.
saying, was the other party looking to use Dr. Beckett's lack of understanding who he is and giving him a chance to soften the blow a bit?
Uh, I mean, was Patrick trying to rehabilitate his image? Yes. Was he
That's what I
looking
mean.
for the most favorable platform to do it? Yes. And that's his right. That's his right. And but I think Dr. Beckett has seen the comments to the YouTube, and I think he's had time to reflect on what's been said. And look, he can come out and further clarify. Like one of the things about his podcast is that it's edited and it's sort of he tries to make it very expedient and friendly for the listener and keep it within a certain time span. And so I think there's an opportunity here to sort of come out and further elaborate. And if he ends up standing on sort of this idea, the implicit reserve, the defensive bidding, and sort of these mental gymnastics, that's just I have a firm disagreement with him on that, very firm. So we'll see. There's an opportunity to talk further. I also think compartmentalization is, of course, possible here. That a person can hold an opinion that I strongly disagree with on one topic and still have done excellent work in other fields. But yeah, I think this is a tough one. I think the spirit of the time, the sentiment of the collectors is that we want a market where we're not bidding against the person who sent in their own item. That's what we want. And so now the volleyball is passed back to Dr. Beckett to say, do you agree with that? And if you do agree with that, then what about the next step? Do we also want a market where there's not dealers coming in and sort of setting price floors and stuff like that? Now that's more of a nuanced discussion. I don't think this is really the time for it. I think the time and the tenor for right now is how Dan's Vintage Baseball PC broke it down. This is illegal. The shill bidding runs afoul of various laws. That's the headline. That's, I think, the topic that if I could just like put one headline to every hobbyist out there, it would be what Dan's Vintage Baseball PC explained. Shill bidding, you can't parse it. It's illegal. Highly, highly advisable. Do not do it.
Well, let's talk about the NBA season and pick a title and get out of here.
Yeah. All right. Let's go on here. Can I just I just want to send a shout out to a few people in the chat who have been sort of chiming in and helping steer this discussion a bit. So I see Southern Collector in the chat, who's a great content creator, great collector, has a great channel, and he's strong on this, and I respect it. He says Ryan picked Beckett because of him being considered a hobby saint in order to rehabilitate his image. He did use Beckett in a way, but that doesn't excuse Beckett. I think that's a fair way to put it. Orlando A Collector's Dream, another great content creator in the vintage and pre-war space on YouTube. He comes in and points out Dr. Beckett doesn't like to be confrontational, which, yeah, that's Dr. Beckett is coming from a place of trying to create a positive, fun environment in the hobby and trying to I don't know, man. All right. Do you want to add anything to this, Josh?
Good Lord, no.
Okay. So then we have a second big topic, which is theft. And here is for the first thing on theft is from Weekends Are for Cards. Do you have any thoughts on the seeming increase in mail theft in the hobby? There are rumors of organized theft rings targeting certain address centers in the mail delivery chain. Considering how the hobby economy is massively dependent on the safe transport of our cardboard grails, do we think this is something that will potentially cripple the market if the assumption of reliable transport can no longer be relied upon?
I just wanted to chime in and say theft is also illegal.
Theft also very bad.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's increased dramatically. It seems like we're just kind of talking about it more. That could be that could be wrong. I could be wrong on that, but same as the last one, dude. Keep your brain on. Be critical. Try to decide for yourself what's the safest way. If you're nervous about shipping cards for grading, wait till the next show, drop off, etc. If you're worried about this one, I think we're talking about like sending it as the seller to authentication, which I guess you should be like covered by eBay if you gets a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree completely. Keep eyes and ears open. Things do occasionally get lost in the mail. Insurance is not a satisfactory replacement, but it is a little bit of peace of mind.
Yeah.
And I
don't think this is like a don't ship anything ever again. We have to stop the presses. I don't think this is that yet.
Right. And then Drake's PC comes in and says, Victory Investments has had 2 cards stolen on the way to authentication. Sean has shared others who've had similar experiences. With there now being knowledge of cards over a certain value going to a unique address for authentication and or grading, what needs to change to give more peace of mind and security to the hobby? Should eBay get rid of authentication altogether?
That was the whole point of the authentication, is it gives more peace of mind. Now we're getting rid of, again, we're like catering to the lowest common denominator. I think you should punish the people who have been caught stealing. If there's some sort of like inside job or whatever at USPS, which is what the claim is, then those people need to be fired and held accountable, and then we can arrest the criminals and move on.
Yep, agreed. The Victory Investments certainly has put a spotlight on this address thing, but it's been this way for years.
They've had that address.
Yeah, I've been shipping and receiving things from that address for at least 2 years, maybe.
I've given the advice on this show a few times to your from address should not have something about cards, or like you should just put your name on it at the most. Don't put like high-end exquisite cards LLC as the from, because then it's like, oh, there's something good in here. That's just like, just keep removing the amount of potential pieces of risk.
Yeah, agreed. But I agree completely. But the other thing is that there ain't going to be a satisfactory answer to the fact that people are stealing packages. It just sucks.
Yeah.
It just sucks.
And we have to spend an hour and 20 minutes talking about criminals.
Right.
Like, what else am I supposed to say about this? Just criminals and bad actors and goofballs shilling and stealing. It's just like, God, what a world. I just want to collect sports cards. This is nuts.
Right. All right. Well, now we're moving into the portion of the questions that I called the rest. So
Lakers 7-2. Let's go.
All right. Let's go on here to Jake Sports World, who says, "What's up, fellas and ladies? Love the content and keep it coming as you continue on your collecting journey. Question for you all regarding how and where you store and keep all of your awesome cards. Is it a vault, a display, storage, combination? Explain. Thank you."
Nice try. Not falling for that one.
Yeah, they're all in my mailbox. Why don't you come get them?
Yeah, like we just spent like an hour and 20 minutes, Josh said, talking about like criminals, and then some guy in the chat's like, hey, exactly where do you live and store your cards? Also, which bank is
Right.
it? Is there a security guard 24 hours a day, or are they only there during banking hours?
And what are like your favorite 4 numbers in order? I don't know.
Christopher S says, "I put Used Condoms Inc. as my ship from."
There you
That's
go.
a good way to keep people from going into your package.
Reluctant Crime Fighter. That's my name. That's right.
Yeah. I think, Jake, to answer your question, the best place to keep and store cards is where you have the most peace of mind, and you sort of balance the fact that you want to be able to see your cards with the fact that they need to be safely stored. So if you have a vault that you can, fly to or travel to easily, that might be an option. If you have a safety deposit box that's very secure at a credible, good bank, that's an option. But there's a lot of options out there that we're not going to be able to cover them all here. But now there's AI. Now I can just send people to AI. Ask AI. What would AI say to that? There you go.
Crypto with tokenizing would solve all this BS.
All right. Next, we have from Ryan Bitter. When it comes to one of ones, which do you like more? The first in a lineage, for example, 2012 Prism, or the first and only appearance of a set, a one-off?
Like the green PMG.
Yeah.
That's a cool one-off. I prefer the lineage, but the green PMG is like a mythical, like one-off, I like both.
Yeah, I think I lean into lineage too. And the reasoning would be it's harder and more difficult to create a lineage. And the longer the lineage, the more difficult it is to create. And it's easy to create a one-off. A one-off can be created out of thin air. But the flip side to it is that a one-off can claim a little more rarity.
Yeah.
So that's the other side. But there's also a rarity to the fact that that it's very difficult to create a lineage. It'll be very like the Prism lineage from 2012 to today. There's very few products that have an uninterrupted lineage of that length. So being the first in that lineage has a different type of rarity. All right, let's go to Ragnar Cards, who says, would you rather have a non-rookie 2012 Black Finite or a later year rookie Black Finite of a comparable player?
Definitely the later year rookie, but that's a fun exercise. The 2012 Black is cool. I get it.
Yeah, same. But as a player collector, yeah, I'd rather have the Christian McCaffrey 2017 Black Finite rookie than the Marshawn Lynch 2012 Prism Black Finite, because I like McCaffrey. That's my PC. So his rookie year falls in 2017. That's what it is. Pacmon84 says, please discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of Michael Jordan potentially signing with Topps.
The good, people can buy MJ licensed autos.
True. Yeah. Here's the good. I mean, and this is maybe a bit of a contrarian take, but dude, Michael Jordan hasn't had NBA licensed cards since 2009. So from 2010 until 2025, there's been this period where it's just Jordan in a suit, or Jordan in a rec league jersey, or entertainment celebrity cards, which are very cool cards, but there hasn't been a presence of Michael Jordan in the foundational flagship NBA licensed products in 15 years, which means there is a whole generation of collectors, and the entire pandemic wave and this second Fanatics wave that's brought in hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people into this hobby. And none of them have ever opened, if they're new, none of them have ever opened a product that had Michael Jordan in it, at least an NBA licensed product. So there's a whole generation of collectors who have never collected Michael Jordan cards. There's a whole generation of collectors who have never watched a break and gotten excited and heard Michael Jordan hit in this. So, if Michael Jordan were to start appearing in the flagship products, if we got a Topps Chrome Superfractor Michael Jordan 1 of 1, there's going to be this whole new era that Michael Jordan hasn't had licensed cards in the social media era of collecting. There has never been a breaker of these big products to say Michael Jordan. It's just that there's a large swath of people who have never been exposed to Michael Jordan collecting. And if he did come back into Topps products, then he would be introduced to a whole new generation and a whole new audience. So that's the good, is that a whole new generation of people would have the ability to collect Michael Jordan cards and get exposed to it and stuff. Okay, what about the bad and the ugly, Josh? What do you see that would be bad? Or obviously, one of the points is that there would just be a flood of Michael Jordan cards. There would just be a flood of new Michael Jordan cards hitting the market. It could potentially dilute the whole supply.
Yeah, that's the bad. But I kind of think it would reinvigorate people to collect Michael Jordan new cards and old cards. I kind of take the opposite of that. I think it would be a net positive, assuming they don't just print it to the moon, which If I know MJ, he's not gonna like sign that much anyways. He'll get bored of it.
Yeah. Yep. So those are the pros and the cons there. Okay, let's go to a Vegas Sports Collection who asks net if Fanatics buys out Panini and gets to keep printing their brands for the next 20 years on top of Topps' brands, does that help or hurt those who have collected during the Panini era, most who entered during the boom?
Those who have collected. I'm not sure. I'm not good at these like butterfly effect questions. Probably hurt, I guess.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the Panini brands ending.
Agreed.
The main, I think the most valuable thing that Panini has is it has these exclusive autograph deals with Luka and Shea Gilgeous and some of these other guys. Those are the big pieces. I don't know that the IP or these brands. I don't know if Topps and Fanatics or any infrastructure relationships with the distributors. I don't think they need that anymore. I think they've prepared. I think they've built. I think they've got the things. I think they want to try them out. I think they want to. They want to do their own.
It'd be weird to be Topps Prism or something. It's just like make your own. Why do you need like two of them? Just you already have one.
Right. All right. From AP Cards 23, appreciate you kings of comps and chaos. With so many cards being graded every month, it feels like the modern era is being preserved like none before it. Between slabs, vaults, and digital databases, it's hard to imagine much attrition in supply. In other words, the availability of, say, 2024 Prism will likely be the same in 2074 as it is today. Does that present a long-term challenge for collecting based on rarity, given that preservation itself has essentially eliminated natural rarity?
You guys were talking on the football card pod. I keep wanting to call it the fantasy football card pod. Apologies for that. The football card pod, guys. You guys were talking about the pop reports of the Red Power and the retail red Mahomes, and it was like the same. It was like it's graded 30 times, and you guys basically were like, that probably means there's 30 copies because every one of these cards is definitely being graded, and a lot of them multiple times. So that kind of speaks to this, where we basically know where all of them are. They're all graded, especially if it's like a high status card. So it is interesting to think we won't have the world of 10 green PMGs and we only know that 3 of them exist,
Well said. Yeah. It's certainly this comparison here is like compare today to 50 years from now. Right. Different way to look at it. Compare now to 30 years ago, 20 years ago.
Right.
And yeah, something that had 50 copies, you would never see one. You would be lucky to see one in the late 90s. And today, if something has 50 copies, you might see all 50 either get pulled in breaks or come to the market somehow or show up on collectors' pages on social media.
He's saying we're reaching the point of we're reaching infinity where we won't lose a single copy in 2024. So 2074 will be still approaching infinity. So it's basically the same.
Yeah, but I think Christina would have a rebuttal to this idea that everything gets preserved because there is a card with 5 copies.
Can I tell you that I took a work call last 2 weeks ago, and I was talking to someone in Australia, and I made a joke, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll do that for you, but you have to find me this card that Panini says is Asia exclusive." And both of the guys on the Zoom call with me stop, look at each other, and they go, "We pulled that card." And I was like, "Shut the front door." I've been talking about this for like 5 years now. What do you mean you pulled that card? So I have a lead on this card that I'm currently working on. But if anyone in Australia bought a repack product from Cherry Collectibles, Grayson, down in Australia, please check your 5 rows because you might be sitting on the 2020 Prism Fast Break Neon Green out of 5 Maxi Kleba. Thank you. And also he's going to reach out to his customer base and have them also look because they're like adamant because they ripped so many cases. They said they had like 15 cases of that product that they pulled this card.
Yeah.
So
Well, this is a breakthrough no matter what way you slice it. This
Yeah.
is progress of
Yeah.
the kind of which we have been waiting years for.
yeah.
All right.
And Pat in the chat says, does crossover end when Christina finally gets the neon green maxi? And the answer
It might.
is yes.
It might.
The answer is yes.
If we have to go through one more round of condemning and explaining why you can't bid on your own items, and then
Seriously.
she finds that card, it might.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna lose me, or unless there's super chats, then I can be convinced otherwise. Hello,
All right.
welcome to Crossover. What do you guys think about Showbilly?
Or like, where should I store my cards? Like, guy, it's 2025. Don't put them like on your wall in
What do you-
like direct sunlight, please.
What do you guys think about the ratio between BGS 9.5 and PSA 10? Thank you. Love your show.
Why do you actually sound like the robot voice though?
I've heard it so many times.
All right, let's pick a title, Christina. We're at the 90-minute mark.
Okay,
If we don't
okay.
talk about Lakers for 5 seconds, I'm gonna freak out.
Talk about Lakers.
Talk about
Dude,
it later.
we're 7-2. We're cooking.
Yeah,
Yeah, we are.
it's been fun.
I prefer LeBron just stay out till January.
Yeah, March.
Start ramping
Come back
up.
after the All-Star break.
A trade rumor circulating that the Jazz might be interested in Austin Reeves for Lauri Markkanen.
Get out of here. No, thank you.
Okay.
Get your own players.
All right. Fair enough.
That's a real trade offer?
I don't know. Who knows what's
It's a
real?
rumor.
Psh. Why would you break up our chemistry like that?
All right, Christina, titles, please.
I'm gonna remove your screen. Let's give some love to Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
It's hard to quibble over hard plastic. It's like the hobby's favorite hoodie dummy. The hobby's favorite hoodie.
That's good.
You could get into big trouble. Eyes
That one
wide
has to go.
open. A
Faux.
faux comp and then a faux comp. Just kidding, Nick. He's gonna get mad at me. List it and let it rot. It's been like this since we started. Pause. You calling us idiots? I like this.
That's
one.
good.
This is why collectors have gone one of ones only. The tyranny of the flipper and vortex of craziness. That was on the same like topic.
That's the final vortex. That's
Yeah. It's illegal.
I like that one.
Catering to the lowest common denominator.
Oh, a lot of good choices here. The one I like you calling us idiots. I thought that was
I have
a
two.
pretty-
I have two.
Okay.
You calling us idiots, and you can get into big trouble. That one just seems really topical.
Yeah. It is very topical. Christina, do you have a preference?
You can get into big trouble. Sounds like we're talking to them. And you calling us idiots sounds like we're being called idiots.
I could be convinced of the idiots one because
this
became like a defensive, like we're the collectors just trying to collect and you guys are shilling us. Are we the idiots?
The idiots rallying call is real.
Yeah.
That is the battle cry. And in fairness to the idiots thing, P. Ryan nor Dr. Beckett called us idiots. P. Ryan, all the people that were flooding into Patrick Ryan's DMs to tell him that they were bidding on some other friends' cards so that some idiot doesn't get a deal. It was those people who called us idiots.
Of course.
Sure. That's if we, yeah, okay, fine.
Also, Josh calls me an idiot on like a daily basis. Call HR.
I don't think so.
No, you don't.
Let's go with idiots. You
saying
calling us
that was a
idiots.
lie.
I think that's
You
good.
calling us idiots?
Yeah.
Then Stiff agrees.
Idiot
Idiot
stand
stand up.
I like that. The rallying cry of the idiot. What does that sound like? What is the what's the battle cry actually sound like?
I'm thinking of like Braveheart, where just charge, just all the fucking
Freedom.
idiots charge.
We're all just going in different
idiot!
directions.
You know what?
We're
my
all
favorite-
we're just like, we've had enough.
My favorite meme, and Josh knows as well, is the mean chef guy holding 2 pieces of bread against the girl's face.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What are you?" And she goes, "I'm an idiot sandwich." That's my
Does she-
favorite meme.
Does she actually say that?
Yeah.
That's so
He
good.
made her say, "I'm an idiot sandwich."
Dude, he was like, that was back when it was cool to just like completely demean people on TV. That's
Yeah.
that's the golden era.
That's why Gordon Ramsay. Yeah. That's
He would be
Stiff's making
canceled.
Fun of me.
He would be canceled today.
No, like he's notoriously mean. Like that's what he does. He literally held up 2 pieces of bread against her face and made her say, "I'm an idiot sandwich."
She can join our coalition.
Dude,
Oh.
she's our president.
What if we just like all scramble in different directions? Like charge, and it's like we don't even know which way to go. Into the vortex, I think.
We just all start buying overpriced cards.
If you guys had to pick one inning, which inning would you say that we are in? Would you say it was the second? Is that the accurate inning?
Yes.
Love your show. Thanks.
You're
for the big-
also an idiot. Super chat. Thanks for the super chat.
All right. That's going to do it for the crossover for this week and next week, folks. And then probably maybe see you after that.
Maybe.
Maybe.